take your seats if you can find one. Otherwise, feel free to sit on the floor, on tables in the back. We're going to get started. Aman, Catherine, can you please come over here? Hi everyone, thank you so much for being here. We are very excited to have you tonight. My name is Pashu, I'm with DataKind San Francisco, and you'll meet the other chapter leaders here who are going to present and tell you a little bit more about DataKind. Just a quick, very first question, who is totally new to DataKind? Has never heard about DataKind? I mean, don't know much about DataKind. Great, okay, thank you. So we have there's a Wi-Fi if you want to tweet about the event, tell your friends about it, tell your network, and let's continue the conversation online. So the hashtag for tonight's event is DataKindSF. And with that, I'd like to pass the microphone to Alex, who is hosting us tonight from General Assembly. He's just going to say a few words, and then we'll have Catherine give the first introduction. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Alex. I work on the operations team for General Assembly. For those who don't know, besides hosting some great events like this, we also offer classes on web development, product management, user experience, part-time and full-time classes as well. You can check out our website at, I don't know if it's working, generalassem.ly. We have a full host of classes, workshops, and events that we host.
Thank you. Thanks. And with this, Catherine.
Hi everyone. Oh God. Okay, try this again. Is that better? So my name is Catherine Matsumoto, and so what we're going to do today is, so we're going to tell you a little bit about DataKind in general, as well as our chapter here in San Francisco that we just launched in August. Again, thank you all for coming. This is an awesome turnout. We're going to talk a little bit about the Data for Good movement in general, and sort of our role and what the other players are, and sort of how we see making an impact with everyone here. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about how specifically people can get involved, both from the sort of nonprofit social organization side and then on the volunteer side. So we're going to try and cover a lot of different perspectives, but the whole goal of everything is to bring us all together to do good work and to help make an impact. So as most of the people here know, we're in a very interesting time in the way, in sort of the amount of data out there. And the information that's accessible. And while sort of on the industry side, there are a lot of people doing very revolutionary work in data science, so building models, predicting things, a lot of times they are siloed apart from organizations that are really trying to solve the world's biggest problem. So here I know a lot, I work at Salesforce, so while I love my job, what I do is I help build software to help sell things. And that, and sometimes, for me it doesn't necessarily feel like I'm, going to change the world, but I know there are a lot of people out there that are doing great work, and so DataKind really aims at bringing both of those sides together. So bringing together the data scientists and to solve the world's biggest problems, and do that projects that will actually have that impact. So allowing people on the volunteer side to bring their skill sets with their time that they have available, and then from the nonprofits, really get the talent and the work that maybe is inaccessible to them in terms of the investment needed, but they can really benefit a lot from that sort of insights. So how exactly does DataKind work? So we'll have a number of different project types, which Paul's going to talk about in a little bit, but they aim at bringing people together, truly translating sort of each of the worlds. So we found a lot of times that sometimes, my work as a data scientist, sometimes I speak a different language than someone who is used to working in a nonprofit, and we really want to be able to make sure that both sides benefit and come together and can understand each other. We really want to understand the context and make sure that everything we do is approachable. So data science right now might seem for people that work on the social side as this this buzzword, the thing that everyone's talking about. Only Google and Facebook are doing to track every movement and make sure that you get weird ads on your website. But it's actually something that can be used for the betterment of everyone involved. And so how do we really translate that into how the better education work, or what's the level in which we can apply the technologies that are being used to do lots of other things in industry. So this is a little bit about DataKind headquarters. So the work that they've been doing. So over 1,500 active volunteers, the number 12,000 hours. So Data Corps projects are more long-term projects. Again, we'll talk a little bit more about specifics of all the words and the way that we operate as DataKind a little bit later. And we do offer services on a pro bono basis. So the time is being donated by volunteers. 47 different organizations have participated and sort of received help and improved their understanding of their business and their area and their processes. And then 11 data dives, which are sort of the DataKind version of a hackathon. And then what brings us to San Francisco? So in about a year ago, they launched a UK chapter, and then in this past August, we launched 5 chapters. So in addition to San Francisco, there are now chapters in DC, Dublin, Bangalore, Singapore, and Singapore. Aman and I were in New York, and we got a chance to work with the chapter leaders, a couple of them from all of the organizations, at the end of August, and it's an amazing group of people, a lot of different backgrounds, a lot of different interests. All of our different locations have different problems, and really we are growing this network to work together and to figure out how we can not just make change in our local area, but working across the world to learn from each other and impact everything. And so part of the reason I'm attached to my cell phone is because it's always buzzing with people in all different time zones at all times of the day talking about Data for Good and their latest ideas and their events and their projects, and it's a really exciting thing to be a part of. So I think I covered most of this, but so myself, Aman, Pashu, and Paul, we are volunteers. So we are leading this chapter, trying to figure out the best way that the DataKind model can be brought to the local San Francisco area. And we are excited to be working with all of you here to sort of build up and host our own events with a regular cadence and do projects with the local organizations. So a little bit more about Data for Good. So DataKind sees itself not just as one organization, but a piece of a larger movement. And really that movement to us means that it's bringing together, as I mentioned, the data scientists and social problems to solve them. And really removing communication barriers, learning to best practices across a number of different areas and ways of looking at things, and then really helping those organizations bring data science to their organization on a day-to-day basis. And this isn't just about a one-off, it's about changing the way that organizations operate and use data to better their processes. And also on the volunteer side, I know there are a lot of people here that sort of are on the data science side, like I am. And for us, it's really giving us a meaningful way to volunteer. It's not just something you do with 2 hours and anyone could do it. It's using your skill set. And so we see the Data for Good movement as being very inclusive of a number of different types of organizations, and we know that there are also a lot of those here. So there are other organizations that are doing similar things in terms of helping enable data science in nonprofits. There are partners and sponsors that we're working with. DataKind headquarters recently announced a partnership with the Clinton Global Initiative to help them build an in-house data science team. So they're Clinton Global Initiative, they're part of that network. All of the mission-driven nonprofits, governments, the social organizations that are trying to use data to better their practices, there are researchers, policymakers that are, want to talk about the sensitivity issues, all of the sort of ethical, legal pieces of this, as well as people that are educating, bringing data science not just to nonprofits, but to more people in the community. It's a whole other language that everyone can be educated into. And so I know we have a couple people, so I did the whole dot thing. So we've got red dots for people that are more associated on the volunteer data science side. We've got yellow for nonprofit social organizations. I let people put both, green, blue, whatever you wanted. It's to give you a chance to get to know people, but we'd love we know they're TechSoup, Base Impact, their organizations, if people want to stand up, wave, we can do sort of a quick, you want to introduce yourself, 2 sentences as to what your organization does. We really, we're new here to this local area as sort of a chapter, and we want to work with sort of all the different organizations. So if anyone wants, I know people, or you can just stand up and wave if you represent someone, if you sort of already associate yourself as an active part of the Data for Good movement. You can wave. We've got a couple over here and some back there. Thank you guys for coming to our events. We look forward to continuing to work with all of you.
Yeah, sure. Michael's from TechSoup Global. You want to say a couple things, Mike?
Yeah, sure. Thanks a lot for, everybody, this movement is such an important part of everything that we've been doing in the community for so long. But, TechSoup Global, we have offices in Warsaw, in London, and here, and we basically connect. Our mission is really to enable the greater nonprofit NGO community worldwide advance their mission through the use of technology. So this is an exciting possible connection, intersection of where, with our platform and with what's happening here, we can actually really do this sort of connection in the same way that everything that's happening in the world of new technology is happening, where people who have a need can be connected with somebody who can help with that need, and helping advance their mission globally. So, and being in the nonprofit sector myself in the Bay Area for the last 30 years, what's really amazing is to see this advance where people really understand that how important it is that you can't manage something if you can't measure it. And data is so important to everything that happens in the nonprofit community globally. And so this revolution, as you described it, is really exciting for us. And TechSoup Global is really happy to be here and actually to understand what you guys are doing. And we're really excited that the turnout here is amazing. So this is really exciting on so many different levels. So
Thanks a lot.
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah, I think, as this is one of the key takeaways we would like you to have today, is that this is in this room, a community of people who are interested in data for good. And many of you are involved in doing one of these things that Catherine was talking about. Would love for you to share that with the people around you, share that right now if you want to. And really, okay, sure, can we come up the slide? And really take this opportunity to realize that this community is really growing and we may exist in silos, but if we can come together as a group and really support each other, we can advance this movement much faster even than it's growing right now. There you go.
Yeah. Hello, I'm Tyler, and I'm really happy to find out that this group actually exists because I am a member of the Effective Altruist movement. There are a number of us in the room, and it's a movement that thinks about how to apply data to doing not just good, but the most good, which you can figure out using reason and evidence.
Yeah. Nice.
Uh,
Now you're being recorded.
And so if you're interested in using data to figure out how to prioritize causes, how to create high-impact social change, let me know, because I'm actually here actively recruiting. So look for the guy in the tulip suit.
Can't miss this guy. Awesome. If you identify as a Data for Good or want to be involved in Data for Good and would like to speak up right now, feel free to do so. But what we'll do next is we'll split up into little mini groups. Just turn around, look in your area. I know you've already had a chance to network, but within the context of this Data for Good community, share with people around you what your role is, how you see yourself as fitting into this community, what you're interested in, what makes you excited. That would be awesome, and we'll get some feedback from all of you as well as you go through this exercise. So we'll just take a few minutes to do this, we'll see how it goes, and then we'll keep going and tell you a little bit more about some of the projects that DataKind is doing and how we do them. Sound good? Awesome. Yeah, go for it, guys. Really exciting. I don't know how to talk into a mic. What's the right distance? This seems to be the right distance. Okay, cool. Awesome. The great thing is that after I bore you for a few minutes, you'll get more opportunities to chat with all the people around you, so don't worry. I hope that was exciting for everyone. We have a couple more announcements that we'll do in a second of people who wanted to tell something about what they're doing. And so this is a good chance to jump in if you'd like to do that as well. But I hear there's a hackathon coming up. Can I toss this to you? Okay, ready? Okay, I'll pass it.
Hello, testing.
Nice. Nice.
Hi everyone, my name is Sean.
Yeah, I know that mic is
We're
hard
from
to use.
Bays Impact. We're a nonprofit startup. We just came out of the Y Combinator class in the summer. We're a nonprofit that offers a paid fellowship to data scientists who want to work with nonprofit organizations, specific organizations. We've got some great partners. I just wanted to mention, if you guys want to chat with any of the founders, this is Paul Vaughan here. He's the co-founder. Brett here works on a number of the projects. If you're interested in learning about the types of projects we're working on. We have a hackathon coming up in November 15th and 16th, 24-hour type of deal. Closed applications for 100 of the best data scientists in the Bay Area. And we have great partners, Gates Foundation, the White House, Michael J. Fox Foundation, so on and so forth, that are giving us exclusive data to work with in the hackathon, and awesome prizes, lunch with Jerry Ging, co-founder of Yahoo, dinner with Joe Lonsdale, co-founder of Palantir. We want to bring data science to the map, we want to bring data science to nonprofits, and we'd love to see you guys there, and we would love to see you guys apply. So check us out, www.baysimpact.org, or come chat with us whenever you guys get a chance. Thanks.
Awesome. And there was another announcement about oh, there she is. Can you pass that back?
Hi, my name is Joyce Kim. I'm the Executive Director of Stellar.org. We are a tech nonprofit that is focused on open financial access to all. We are, at our core, the technology is a peer-to-peer distributed protocol that is currency agnostic, so it allows dollars, pesos, euros to function like Bitcoin on a digital protocol. We have a very large cryptocurrency endowment that we are giving away to millions of people in very small micro grant increments tied to financial inclusion and financial education, and we are looking for people to help us out figure out how do we give it away smartly and effectively. We are seeding an entirely new economy of digital currency holders in the developing world. Really interesting project. We are looking for people to help out, and we are hiring. So either way works for us. We are funded by Stripe, actually, who's a well-known currency payments company here in the Valley. You can find me or this gentleman here, Christian Learning.
Thanks. Nice. So I hope this is giving everyone an idea of how big the community is and how varied people's interests and contributions to the Data for Good community are. Anybody else would like to speak? Can I put a couple people on this? Yes, excellent.
Hey everybody, I'm Bill, just shown us from UC Berkeley, and we are from the UC Berkeley School of Information. You can ask me about it later, I don't care to explain, but we are also doing a social innovation hackathon on the 21st and 22nd of November. So it's something that we're working with Hyper International. And it's something that we're also going to have a new data set. We don't quite have the tech chops of Y Combinator, but we're really looking for a wide array of people to be able to contribute to this event. So yeah, come up and talk to me if that's something that interests you.
Cool. Thanks a lot. I like how you didn't even need a mic. Maybe I should do that because this thing's hard to use. Anybody else? Announcements, things that you're working on? Awesome. You can grab a mic if you like.
Hello, I'm Felipe Hoffman. I work at Google. I happen to work on our big data products, and if someone needs a place to share a lot of data, if you need that data analyzed, I can help with hosting, I can help telling stories to other people on how they can start analyzing their data. So if you have data, talk to me, I can help host it and analyze it. Thanks.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is talk a little bit about data projects. So we've talked a little bit about the community, we've talked a little bit about what we're trying to do with DataKind, and I think we'll segue into projects here. So first I'll give you some examples and talk in general, and then Paul will tell you more specifically about what are the types of projects and how we're actually executing on them at DataKind, which is of course just a small part of it. Go for it, Paul. Okay, awesome. So what these guys are doing is they're on a motorcycle and they're on their way to some rural location in Kenya, I believe, and they're delivering vaccinations to populations that normally don't have access to them, vaccines. And the way this is done is that they put the vaccines into a small storage unit, which they're carrying there, and these things are transported over perhaps a long period of time in the transportation, and then when they're delivered there, they're put into refrigerators that are often battery powered. So there's some logistics of how to keep things cool that are very important so that they're still effective when they're used. Those units are wired up to cell phones, and the cell phones collect data on where the location is, what the battery power is of the cell phone itself and and the unit if it's connected to a battery. And it also collects information about the temperature. And so what can we do with this information? So what's awesome is that DataKind worked with this group to analyze all of that data, and they came up with some pretty cool results. I wrote some of them down. But you can check all of these that I'm going to share with you up on the website. But they looked at 17 different clinics. They were able to identify how often it's important to check the quality and check to make sure that the units are still working. So that they thought they could check it once a day. It's actually not true. They need to check it much more frequently than that. They were able to identify whether certain unit models were failing more than others. They were able to look at power outage information at the remote sites and see if that was correlated with bad vaccines or vaccines that had no longer functioned. So this information is really, really valuable to organizations. NextLeaf has a really data-centric model for how they're doing this. Actually, NextLeaf is California-based. Anyone from NextLeaf here? That would be really awesome. Okay, no, they're not here, but that would have been cool. So they're California-based tech nonprofit. Let's go to the next one. All right, New York City parks. So New York City has like 600,000 trees that are not just on the parks themselves, but that are on the streets, on the blocks of residential areas. And so it's really important to keep these trees pruned. They serve as hazards. They also cause problems when there's storms. These storms create fallen branches and uprooted trees. So keeping this maintained is really important. But New York City did a great job of starting to collect information about which trees were being pruned and when, which blocks were covered, how often it had to happen, and storm information, and even the species of trees. This is really cool because now they're able to figure out, based on this data that they collected over a number of years, how often was optimal pruning, so they didn't have to prune too often, but also didn't prune so infrequently that it caused problems. This is a savings, of course, in money. It also reduced hazards after implementing this program by 22%. That's a huge, huge improvement, and now this program is being rolled out to all sorts of other major cities. Brian D'Alessandro, who lives in this area, I think, is he here? No. Okay, that would have been cool. Brian works on the causal impact of digital advertising and digital advertising. So that's what he does for his day job. He's always thinking about causal impact. And here's a causal impact problem. What does pruning do towards reducing hazards? And I really like his blog post on this. You should check it out. But this is how he concluded his blog post. I analyze data all day, every day. But this project was special. It reminded me to stop and smell the roses. After all, New York City practically demands it. New York City Parks practically demands it. This is a project to use what he was doing at work for digital advertising and actually help it improve New York City Parks. So this is really exciting stuff. What's the next one? Okay, awesome. Give Directly. So Give Directly is an organization that helps. So what they do is you can make cash donations to people in need, poverty-stricken areas, and you do those cash donations directly. You do it through your mobile phone, and there's no restrictions on how that cash is used. So it's very different from a lot of other programs that get cash out to poverty areas. So these people that need the money can use it for whatever they want. So this person actually purchased this livestock and some of his equipment using the money that was donated through Give Directly. The villages that need this money the most, as they come in through mobile phones, have to be identified in some way. So what they were doing earlier was they were actually visiting out these villages, having interviews, figuring out what their economic level was, and then using that information to prioritize how that money gets distributed. It turns out that there's a correlation between the kind of roofs and building materials that are used for housing and the amount of money this village has. Once they get enough money of a certain threshold, they upgrade to metal roofing, for example. And you can actually identify that using satellite images. So DataKind worked with Give Directly to what they did was they used satellite images. There was a 3-day project. We classified like 1,300 images just in time for a cash transfer that was about to come through Give Directly, and they were able to use satellite images to figure out where to send this money based on that, and that's actually part of the core proposition that Give Directly now has. This paper that came out of this project ended up becoming the best social good paper at KDD in 2014, so it's got a lot of press, and Kush and Brian Abelson and Joyce Sun, who are involved in this project, they're not here, I know. But these people got a lot of publicity. They got a chance to go around and. Really? What the one time that I think that no one's here? What are the chances? Can you say like a word or two about this project? Like, this is really cool. I hate to put you on the spot.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of described it basically.
Yeah. Well, one time I don't ask.
Yeah, so the fun / least fun part of this project is actually going through all the satellite images and creating the true data set, right? Clicking on the tin roof versus the grass roof over and over again until you get enough of a true data set to actually run your machine algorithm on it. Yeah, I just thought it's a great example of how traditional machine learning data science methods can be applied to somewhere where you might not have thought they could be applied.
Yeah, you guys are doing a webcast this week, right?
Potentially, I left New York.
Okay. Well, I believe there's a webcast on Thursday on this project. If you guys are interested, I can send you the information or put it on Meetup or something. And if you guys are interested in learning more about how they did this, sorry, Eric, I should have asked if you were. Okay, nice. Awesome. So Lucy Bernholz, who I met recently, where's Paula? Awesome. I love her. Anyway, so linked comparable accessible data is now the new starting line. She's talking about the civic sector here. The race is now to see who will create what public-facing tools for making sense of this information. You've heard all this before, data scientists, right? Like, we finally have data, we're finally figuring out how to organize it, now what do we use it for, right? You've heard that story before. Now it's being applied to the civic sector. If you check out these blueprints that Lucy puts together every year, there's some really exciting stuff going on in the world of data for nonprofits and philanthropy, and the blueprint sort of covers that. In 2013 report, there was a whole section just on the use of data in this field, talking about all the initiatives that have taken place. I have a whole list of them here. I'm not going to bore you with them, but NGO Source is on there, and that's from TechSoup. You guys are here. HP is on there. There's a Periscope tool from HP. I know there's HP here somewhere. So there's some really cool stuff, and UN's HDX, which some of you might be familiar with, is on there. So there's a bunch of reports coming out from Blueprint, from N10. N10 is another nonprofit, technology-driven nonprofit. Anyone from N10 here? Okay. And Aspen Institute. So this is really exciting stuff, and where we want to be in terms of the Data for Good community is now really leveraging all of this influx of data, figuring out how to aggregate data sets, figuring out how to put it to use and actually get great value for these nonprofits to get bigger impact. Go. Right. So Hillary Mason is a big fan of putting cute pictures on slides, and she's one of our advisors. So the call out to her. So, but DataKind does this through projects, right? This is Data for Good community is bigger. We chose to work on it through projects, which is largely about saying that, hey, let's pick a particular project where we can do direct impact. Let's make a difference right away through this project. But also, the projects are also about enablement. We're going to use this project to not only do a one-time event or report for these organizations that we're working with, but also help them build this capability in-house, build tools for them that they can continue to use, have a sustainable output that's not just a report that's just used once, right? And so that's a big part of this, and we want to see long-term change. We want to plant seeds that, with you guys, in the Data for Good community at large, for how we can actually progress and improve the use of data in this sector using these types of projects and other things. The other part of this is that there's a larger conversation that takes place about open data, about open source, about ethics, about privacy, and it's really important to get engaged in these conversations right away. And DataKind, goes all out in participating in these conversations. We have attended a lot of conferences. We give talks about this stuff, and we really want to, with you guys, set an example for what can be done to bridge the gap between these worlds and make sure that priorities like privacy and security and ethics in what we do is a priority. So that's part of DataKind. And now Paul will tell you exactly how we do that.
Hey everybody, I'm Paul. Thanks, Aman.
Yep.
Okay, so I am the last speaker, so we're getting to the end. Hopefully you're enjoying everything so far. Where I want to start is just with a thank you. I cannot believe that I cannot even see everybody who's in the room right now attending this. That's fantastic. Okay, maybe I can see them now. Thank you for putting that in. But this is really amazing, and it only validates the enthusiasm that the four vets have had for a while to see that there really is something behind this and there's a community here that's going to help us make this chapter successful. So, actually, let's go back 1 second.
Okay.
Let's talk.
Oh, back.
Back.
Did you say back?
Okay. Yeah, okay. So core programs at DataKind. Just to recap what we've been talking about. What are we trying to accomplish within with this DataKind chapter? First of all, we are trying to be a hub for the Data for Good community. We want to be a place where groups like Bayes Impact and the UC Berkeley something about information group can get together and really sustain a community that can benefit us all. Another thing we want to be is an educator. The data scientists in the room, we want to be a source for ethics as it relates to data science. And for the mission-driven organizations, we want to be a teacher to help them understand how data can help them be more effective. We want to be a capacity builder. Look at all the people in these rooms. There's a lot of red dots here. And the yellow dots in the room can benefit from the red dots. And so we're really excited to bring that together and help the mission-driven organizations access this capacity, but also learn how to build it for themselves so that they can be sustaining data for good communities. And then, a big part of what we're trying to do here is to be a connector and a translator. The fact is that the data science community and the mission-driven organizations sometimes don't know how to relate to each other. And we're hoping to create forums like this where we can talk and we can get to know each other and really start speaking the same language and collectively identifying those opportunities to make an impact, similar to what Aman described. How do we do that? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk you through some of the major event types that we have. The first of which is a meetup, and I think you guys can look around and see what a meetup looks like. This is it. Really what we want to do with our meetups is get together the red dots and the yellow dots, get everybody talking, and really provide an environment where relationships can build. These will also be the forums where we bring in topics and speakers. So for example, where we talk about the ethics of data science, where we talk about great work that the other chapters are doing, where we talk about the great work that other organizations are doing. So this will be sort of a casual forum just to keep engaged with the Data for Good community. But then we want to get more specific and really make an impact with specific organizations. And that's where we'll move into project accelerators. Project accelerators are a forum where nonprofits can come in and just bring their questions. And then engaged volunteers will be there and we'll talk. We'll brainstorm on what data do you have and what problems can we solve with that data. And really begin a focused dialogue to help those nonprofits understand what's possible. And also to really frame some of the thinking around where we can go to help that specific nonprofit. So these are open, any nonprofit can come, and the dialogue will level to where they are and what they're ready to do. But we're really hoping to find some fantastic partners there that we can then take to the next level, which is a data dive. So a data dive is basically a 48-hour hackathon where we get a whole bunch of volunteers and we team them up with 3 vetted partner organizations. The whole point here is to really focus on a very specific problem and actually make an impact. The goal is to not only make a measurable impact in the time of the data dive, but also to really give that organization experience on what data can do for them. So that it really begins a thought process around how they can commit to this as more of a longer engagement strategy. I will say, actually, our first project accelerator, I missed this bullet, so we're shooting to have one in mid-November, and then, thank you, and then our first data dive we're actually shooting to have in mid-January. Data dives, that may seem like a long way off, but really it does take about 2 months of preparation to do a data dive. We need to vet the organizations that we want to work with. We need to scope the problem. We need to build a team. We need to clean the data. There's a lot of things that go into it. Data dives are also something where a lot of people I think here can help. If you identify as a senior level data scientist who really wants to get involved, we need data ambassadors. These are folks who are going to lead teams. They're going to work very closely with the nonprofit orgs to scope the problem out, get the data clean, figure out what we're going to do so that when this 48-hour hackathon happens, we can hit the ground running and we're not wasting time just figuring out the basics. And then the data cores. This is the highest touch type of program that we have. And it's a 6 to 9 month engagement between a specialized team of data scientists and a specific organization. It's going to be very focused on making a big impact for that organization. It also gives them a sense of what it means to have, really highly engaged data scientists and what sort of impact that can have. We do not have any of these scheduled yet. It's a growing process for us. We're going to start with our Project Accelerator. We're going to get our data dives done. Once we have a better sense of how this all works and what organizations are ready, then we'll make the plunge into data core. So stay tuned. I know this is something that a lot of groups are excited about. We'll get there. Okay, so how do we get involved? So if you identify it, yes?
I just have a quick question. A lot of nonprofits and projects need long-term support.
Yes.
In other words, it's just not enough to get an answer. They need to implement the process. They need to understand how to follow through with the data. They need to understand how to implement the things they discover. What kind of support does they try to implement to not just do it one-off?
Yes.
Here's the fast fix for the data, now they'll often be happy.
Yes.
How do you get that?
Yes. So,
Can you repeat the question, please?
oh yeah, sure. So the question really is, even a 6 to 9 month engagement isn't enough to allow a given nonprofit to be sustainable over time. So what can DataKind do to really equip those nonprofits to be able to support themselves over the long term? And we do consider the relationship between a nonprofit and DataKind to be an ongoing thing. And we consider one of our objectives and one of our success criteria to help the nonprofits that we've engaged with to become self-sufficient. And that involves, you might have heard earlier, Aman said, increasing their data literacy, helping them to understand the value that data science and data scientists can bring to their org, and helping them really get buy-in with their leadership that this is something that they need to invest in and that it will have a positive impact for them. So, we will help equip the organization. It won't be that, data cores are defined at about a 9-month period, at which point it will really be more of a coaching to get you to self-sufficient. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but we do provide that coaching in the sense that we have regular checkups after the project is over, and we make sure that you aren't thrown off the nest right away.
That's right.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, there's a lot of times, it's a data dive project that's, more about just an answer, and then you go, oh wait, well now I want more. So we've seen, the headquarters has seen that evolved into a longer term process, and then, our additions, hooked at, there's a great, one of the chapter leaders in the UK, she comes from a nonprofit, she got hooked and, ended up, working with DataKind to help get that pitch to get someone on her staff. They're, I think, a 7-person organization, and to, get a data scientist on their team, and really hire somebody that headcount from their sponsors for that long-term support. It's just continuing to work with the people. If you need help with someone, to interview for a data scientist, that sort of thing.
Yeah, a big part of our mission is enablement. Enabling the organization to do this long-term on their own. So getting involved. If you do consider yourself a mission-driven organization, and many of you have probably already done this, but please sign up at the Get Involved. That's just the basics. It gets you on our CRM and make sure we have your contact information. Also, if you think your org has an idea that we might be able to help out with, email us. On the next slide, you'll see our email address. But we would love to have that dialogue with you to really get it going, get you into our Project Accelerator, and start the process. And then finally, I said it. Show up for our Project Accelerator night. We really want you to come. Everybody's welcome, and we're just going to talk. We're going to talk about what's possible, what you have, and really figure out where we go from there. Then finally, our data scientists. Same thing. Please sign up at the Get Involved if you haven't already. Gets us you in our CRM. I think all of you are on Meetup, or I don't know how you got here, but please make sure you're on there if you're not. This is an odd ask, but this is a network, right? We're all here, and I'm sure a lot of the red dots in the room know nonprofits that they think might benefit from something like this. So please encourage them to come into the fold. Please encourage them to email us and sign up here so that we can really expand our network as a community. I will say that you probably know this already, but the Bay Area, there's so many people that we actually are having a separate event down in South Bay in 2 weeks. And so we really are going to need everybody's help to hold this network together and really access everybody no matter where they are in the Bay Area. So please help us with that, get people in the funnel, and we'll get them going on these projects. And then obviously show up and make an impact. You know, everybody is equipped with different skills, everybody's equipped with different amounts of time and enthusiasm. So all we ask is show up when you can show up and be excited and come with fresh ideas on how we can make an impact for these organizations. And then finally, if you do consider yourself a senior level data scientist, please email us, let us know. We're always looking for data ambassadors. These are the folks that are going to be the key ingredient to making all of these programs a success. So, last slide, just some things to know about. The email address, mission-driven organizations or data ambassadors, please email us. Get us on your radar, or get on our radar. Meetup you should all know about. Also, feel free to tweet or follow us on Facebook. Those will be other communication forums that we have. So, cool. I think that's it.
That's it. So, awesome. So I think what we'll do next is, this is all that we really wanted to present to you. This is an opportunity for all of you guys to meet with each other. We don't want to be a bottleneck. There's a lot of awesome organizations here. There's a lot of educators, a lot of nonprofits, a lot of people who are in the Data for Good community. Work with them, network with them, make projects happen on your own, and work with us to make projects happen with us. So that's awesome. Please use this opportunity. I think we're out of pizza and beer, but feel free to socialize. Also, some of us may go get drinks afterwards if you're interested in joining us. I don't know what that looks like, but feel free to join us for that too. That'll be very informal. Any questions? Yes?
What are some subsets of skills that you're looking for? So what's under the umbrella of data science?
Awesome. Paul, do you want to go that one?
Yeah. So, you know, we really, we're not picky there. So, you know, you can, people who are data engineers who know how to do ETL and data cleaning are fantastic. People who know how to do modeling, true data scientists, are fantastic. People who like data visualization and can build data products are fantastic. People who can just help us stay organized and communicate effectively are fantastic. So, as you can see, right now, we welcome the enthusiasm, and what we'd like to do is just have a very transparent dialogue with what your strengths are so that we can find the best place for you. Yeah, but all skills are welcome. It's the enthusiasm that counts.
Cool. More questions?
What's up with the unicorn?
Alex?
Alex?
We don't know.
That's a general assembly fixture. We should, yes, go ahead.
So do you guys have a recommendation on some common platform for the data scientists to work with what tools that they use? Especially like somebody with SaaS experience, well, nobody has $10,000 on the side to buy that license.
That's right.
So what kind of recommendations? Do you have a recommendation to build on?
That's a great question. I would say that a lot of that's going to come in a dialogue with the individual partners that we're working with. You know, obviously for a lot of these organizations, they're not going to have $10,000 to plunk down on SaaS. And so I would say the general bias is going to be towards efficiently using resources, which means R and Python and tools that are cheap. But given nonprofit may have already invested in certain platforms, and then we would try and work within that context. So I think it's highly dependent on what we're trying to accomplish and the organization we're working with.
Nice.
Is there a central repository for code and data from any of our previous projects that you guys are going to share?
I don't know the answer to that.
So there are the DataKind, so datakind.org, there's a blog, and they have write-ups on the projects themselves in terms of the code. We are using data that is sensitive for some of these orgs, so there's limits to which we can do that.
project by project basis. Some things might be able to be shared in terms of, like doing a talk at, like at the KDD, they did a talk about the Give Directly.
Yes.
But there's no just sort of open, because we want to protect the data and the access for all of the orgs that we work with.
So you got more like in-depth review of these projects that we can check out?
Yeah, the blog has all the write-ups from individual projects, and I think there's like a subsection in them.
Yeah, and sometimes there's more information, and the blog will link to that information and on the nonprofit side or somewhere else where you can find out more. Yes?
What does the matchmaking look like for nonprofit organizations and data ambassadors?
The matchmaking for data ambassadors. So obviously, there's a couple ways to answer this. As the organizations give us more information about what they're looking for, especially for the projects that are more involved, like data core projects, we try to scope out what exactly we'll be doing, just like you would for any consulting engagement, and based on that, figure out what skills are needed to execute on it. Some of those are internal resources, some of those are volunteer resources, like that. Most of them are going to be volunteer resources, so we then look at our network, we look at people who have signed up on our Get Involved. You give us a little bit of information there, and from our email exchanges, we put information about what your skills are, and we try to match through that mechanism. It's done largely manually, it's not like an automated process.
Which is why we encourage people to come to events, come talk to us.
Yeah.
I try and do, we're going to try and do the coffees or sort of open office hours to get to meet people in person as opposed to just email, because that's really the only way we're going to get to know everyone's skill sets. We do work very closely with the organizations themselves to understand all their needs.
And to augment that, these projects are going to take different forms. Maybe it's an image processing project, or maybe it's a text analytics project, or maybe it's a predictive modeling project. And so what we will do is really try and align the data ambassadors to the nature of the problem we're trying to solve. We want the best. We want to build the best team for every org. And so that means that we're going to try and do that, and a big part of that is aligning the skill set with the problem trying to be solved.
One last comment on that. I know that was just like 4 people talking about one question. But we are trying to match skill sets, but that doesn't mean that if you have a particular skill set that you do all the time at work, that's the only thing we want you to do for this nonprofit, right? Yeah. If you want to build your skill set, you want to do something different from what you're doing at work that's related, you want to expand your repertoire, your toolkit, this is a great opportunity to do that. Just the fact that you are working in data, but maybe want to use something different as a tool is perfectly fine.
Yes.
Yeah?
What's the minimum expected involvement if you
There is no minimum. You can just come to the meetups every now and then when you can. You can go to the ambassador, accelerator programs, which are no commitment beyond whatever you can show up and help with, all the way to really committed on data core projects, which are multi-month, several hours a week kind of projects. So there's a whole range. So we'll find something that works for you.
Yeah. To that point though, I talked about the data ambassadors, right? That's a very specific role. The prep time up to a data dive is about 2 months, okay? And so that involves vetting the organization, scoping the problem, cleaning up the data, building the team, so that when the data dive actually happens, we're ready. To what you said, a data core is 6 to 9 months, right? And that's just the actual execution. That doesn't include the prep time. A project accelerator, you just show up, So I'd encourage everybody to start with project accelerators, get a feel for where this is going, and then from there we can start talking about who our data dive teams are.
So how much commitments have you guys put in to pull this off so far?
I can't even remember when we started. When did we apply?
February, I think?
I think we started the application process in February. That was more on and off. I think we have all committed around 5 to 10 hours of work per week on average for sort of our leadership roles. Sort of the expected, I think. On weeks like this, maybe a little more.
Yeah.
Have you guys been successful at building for-profit entities and doing good things with your massive resources?
I didn't quite catch that question.
Have we been successful in goading for-profit orgs into utilizing their resources to contribute to the cause? No, I don't. Here's what I'll say. I don't think that's an area we're actively pursuing. So that's why we don't really have an answer. Yeah. Yes? So you guys have already been through a launch event, but we are going to do another one in South Bay. If you have friends who couldn't make it tonight, South Bay launch event, October 22nd. Beyond that, we are having a project accelerator. It will be sometime in mid-November. I'm not going to commit to a date right now. And then from there, we're going to really focus on our first data dive. And that will happen in mid-January.
However, there may be like data, what are those other things, data jams and things like that before that?
Yeah, and those will be focused more on the team
Right.
of a given data dive. Yeah, so there's always lead-up events to these things, but those
We
are
want
the
to
big
do,
ones.
social events to sort of keep things going for maybe people that just want to show up and talk about it, or
Yes.
meet other people in the network if the time it doesn't work out. We're about the community as well as spinning that off into these projects that will.
Where will they hear about these events?